Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and we are so happy to have you back for 10 at 10. This is episode 275. Yes, 275. We've been doing this for a long time, I'm happy to have you back. And one of the questions I get all the time is, how do you have that much content to talk about? I'm like, well, I really don't. We're covering some ground that we've covered before, but it's one of those things that it's worth discussing. It's worth highlighting because some of these issues are growing, some of these issues are evolving, but some of these issues we just need to hear over and over and over again to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to keep ourselves, our families, our organizations safe in cyberspace. So happy to do it and excited to be back with you today. And on that topic of plowing some ground that we've talked about before, I want to talk about generative AI tips and warnings that we've talked about these to a degree in the past, but I want to get really specific and talk through some of these issues because they are real issues that we need to talk about and make sure that we're covering. And the first one is very simple. First of all, let me say generative AI is fantastic. It allows us to do so much. We can be so much more efficient, do a lot of really cool stuff. But when we're doing these things, we have to make sure that we're doing what is safe and ethical and moral to do. So one of those things that we need to make sure that we're doing is verifying the output. We can use generative AI to create something, but what most generative AI tools are in the business to do is to make you happy. And it's going to create an answer to make you happy, whether that answer is correct or not. So step one, make sure that you verify your output to ensure its accuracy. There was a classic example from a few years ago where a lawyer turned in a legal filing to a judge that referenced a court case that didn't exist. There's been a big consulting company that faced a lawsuit in Australia for turning in a report created with AI that didn't match up the realities of the situation. You have to make sure that what we're doing, the product that we're delivering, is truly a correct work product. We also have to be careful about adding sensitive and private information in generative AI prompts. Let me give an example. This is an easy example. If you're using ChatGPT for free through the online tool, first of all, nothing in this world is free. If it is free to you, then they're using you for something else. Perhaps that's your information. So if you're putting information in to the prompt, then there's a very good chance that they're grabbing that information, using it to train their LLMs, their large language models, to make their model better. They're using your information. So if you're putting sensitive or private information into those prompts, then you're essentially telling a third party that information. Is that okay? Depends on the information. It depends on how sensitive or private that information is. We'll get to another one where it could be a real problem, but you have to be very careful with that. As easy as it is for us to use generative AI to create content, it is also just as easy for bad guys to use that content or to use those tools to create content as well. So we have to keep our eye out for social engineering attacks, for AI generated content. It's one thing if you're creating a flyer for an event and you're using AI to help you create a flyer. Okay, so be it. It's a whole nother level when that AI generated content is a video of someone or an audio of someone. Last, I guess it's been a couple years now, during the primary election, President Biden supposedly called the voters in a primary state and told him to not go vote, to stay home. Well, he didn't do that. It was an AI generated copy of his voice. They're getting really good. They're getting really good. And so we have to be very careful. Is that content that is being created truly content, real content, and something that we should listen to? Or is it an attempt at social engineering? Or is it AI generated content? We have to be very careful and be alert for that at all times. Another one, and this one's a big one. We have to understand bias and we have to understand AI ethics. Let me tackle the bias part first. Would anyone listening disagree that there is some horrible information online? Whether it's biased, whether it's racist, whether it is slanted to one side or on an issue or another, would we all agree? I think we would, that there is bad information online. These models are using data on the internet to train itself to become these models that we're using. So if biased data is being used to train the model and then we put stuff into it, then we can't be surprised if biased data comes out. We just can't. And it does happen. So we have to be careful for that. With that in mind, there's an ethical element of AI. If I have a grant, if I have a contract to create a report, and I'm estimating it's going to take me 20 hours to create that report, and instead of taking those 20 hours, I just use AI and I do it in 2 hours. But I've already signed the contract for an amount of money that would indicate that it takes 20 hours. What's the right thing to do? Do I turn in the report because it's a great report and I just saved 18 hours, but I made 18 hours worth of money? Or do I admit that I used AI and only bill for those 2 hours? It's a question. It's a fair question. It's one that a lot of companies are grappling with. Is it okay to use AI? Yeah, it is. Do you need to disclose that you're using AI? Yes, probably. I would argue that it also depends on how much of the item was made with AI. That's certainly a component of it. But yes, I think it's okay to use, but I also think it's fair to disclose that as well. If you have prohibitions against using AI, then clearly don't. Some people will follow those, some people won't. My opinion is to just be transparent. If you're using AI, then just admit it. If you're an elected official, then be transparent with your community. If you work for a local government, just be transparent with your community. You might find out they're okay with it. You might find out that they're not. But whatever it is, make sure that you're being transparent. AI has allowed the bad guys to really up their game in attacks. The bad guys are now able to sift through our emails very, very quickly. The robustness of their attacks, of the adversarial attacks against us, has grown rapidly in the age of AI. Because what might have taken us a long time to do can now be done very quickly with the help of AI. We have to be aware of that. We have to be alert to that. We have to be prepared to go on the defense much faster than we used to. It's just the reality of the world that we're in. And then finally, I want to end by talking about that sensitive and private information. We must adhere to compliance and regulatory requirements. There are now states such as Kentucky that have enacted some AI laws. There are policies within FERPA, within HIPAA, within different types of regulatory frameworks that have requirements of how much AI that you are able to use what ways you're able to use AI and what ways you're not able to use AI. So before you go creating all sorts of information, you'd better be careful and make sure that you follow all your regulatory requirements, your contractual requirements, and that any compliance elements that you may have, because there's a lot there that you may not know about that is now being pushed down from state and federal governments for sure, for private companies to private companies as well, to make sure that you're following the rules and doing what you need to do. All right, I'm going to stop there. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you have, and I will see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.